Hello everyone, this is John Carr with the iMac Gamecast, and today we are going to be looking at Divinity Original Sin. This is a new RPG from Larian Studios. Really cool game, you should totally buy it if you're into RPGs. This was a successful Kickstarter game. I'm a backer, you can see they have a nice Kickstarter edition, you rock, a nice little call out there. This is a very complicated game. Not too complicated, but pretty complicated for an RPG. A lot of interworking parts, a lot of things you can do, a lot to know. So I'm going to be making the tutorial series starting with character creation because that's pretty important. This just lets people join your game right from the start, single player, multiplayer. Usually I just, have friends join, but you can also have public people join if you want, or random people. Let's just start out single player. It's very important starting out to create a good character. You can't really make a bad character in this game unless you really go out of your way to, give your mage a bunch of warrior points or something, which wouldn't make much sense, or vice versa. But it's definitely with some minor tweaking at the character creation screen. You can create a much more effective character, especially than the presets. There's a bunch of presets. I don't know exactly how many, 8 or 10 in all or something like that. You can go through here. And some of them are solid on their own without much tweaking. Some of them I'd really tweak a lot. I'll just give you some basic suggestions here. Obviously, you're free to play whatever you want. Mage, warrior, warrior mage, ranger rogue, ranger fighter, ranger mage. You can mix and match whoever you want. Keep in mind you do also get up to 2 party members, or less if you're taking a certain talent, which excludes you from getting them. But by default, you get up to 2 party members who can be other warriors and mages and so on and so forth, so you can supplement. Of course, walking into the game new, you don't know that. I've spent nearly 100 hours into the beta, so I already know, what I'm doing in the entire first section of the game. I've tried every character class. I understand how all the aspects of the game work together, so I really know what I'm doing. And right out of the gate, I can create a 100% effective character for what I want. But I'm going to go with a very basic combo here, which would be a pure fighter, pure wizard of some sort, mage. I call mage. There's 3 or 4 wizard presets or magic presets. I may do a different video on hybridization or hybrid characters versus pure characters. Just know that hybrid characters, while you have more skills available to you, you take skill penalties for being a hybrid character, which I'm not a fan of. Plenty of people are. You can play that way if you want. You'd have to try it out for yourself. Personally, I dislike it, which I'll get into more detail in another video. So for now, I'm going to stick with pure videos. Let me see. A really nice starting skill is the wizard. You get some great... Okay, let's take a step back here. There's 2 customized buttons. This is player 1, player 2. These are always your 2 main characters. You control them both in co-op. If a player joins your game, they take control of one of the characters. You can choose who. Or if this is a multiplayer game right now, somebody you invite a friend right now and he or she can design the other character. Let's just take a look at things. So we have our first customization screen, which lets you toggle presets if you want. But keep in mind, if you've made some customizations here and then switch presets, it'll reset everything. So stick with what you want, then start customizing. You can change, gender back to male or female, change the portrait, toggle armor on and off. Somewhat hilariously, you can choose underwear. Modify voice. Personality means this is for the co-op dialogue, what happens. So if you're controlling the other character and you get into a dialogue, a loyal personality would probably always agree with you. A random one is prone to disagreeing with you, causing you arguments. And of course, no AI just means you choose everything. But they give you a decent amount of customizations for your character's hair and face and all that stuff. And it's fun, fairly fun.
What could that have? Perhaps I can hold. Our enemies have laid a trap.
Let's get her some kind of hair like that. I try to usually match up this to some extent anyway. But that's, this is all cosmetic. Although I would advise against taking the same portraits, because then I think it's very confusing once you're actually in the game. when you're clicking your sidebars, so try to at least take different portraits, if nothing else. Okay, so let's look at the wizard preset. You know, you can read a little story here, but what's important is our second customize button over here. And this lets us change attributes, starting skills, abilities, and talents. So this is pretty good. Midnight Oil and Flare are some of the two best starting fire and earth skills to have, because you can oil on the ground and then flare the oil, and it causes a nice big burning puddle that torches people. Magic Poison Dart is 99% useless in the entire first section of the game, because the majority of people you are fighting will be magic immune, or even more so magic resistant, that they heal with poison. So let's forego the poison, grab something great like a summon. Summons early in the game are really strong, so that's a great thing to have. As far as the mage goes, these are pretty great, you know, starting stats to have. I wouldn't really bother touching those. As far as abilities go, you don't really need craftsmanship skills in the first 1 to 3 levels, because you're just not using them, and you can often find gear or even traits, which are something else to get into, that boost these skills pretty easily. So I'd take a point out of that. Same for this, you don't really use any of these super early game. Charisma isn't that useful. It's just more of a convenience than anything. So now I have 2 extra skill points to use. Pyro and Duo, I already know there's an early party member I can pick up at level 2 who has Aerotheurge and Hydro Fist. I'll get into that later, but for example, then I'll take a point into Witchcraft. And maybe Willpower is good, so we'll go back over here. Even though I said these aren't very useful early game, I like Telekinesis. Lets you pick up and move stuff from a distance, which is handy for mages because they have low strength. Talents, normally I almost always modify these because they aren't very good, the presets. But Far Out Man increases your spell range, and Know-It-All gives you an extra point of int over here in your stats for free. Although, well, relatively for free. Decreases people's attitude from you, but that doesn't really matter. But if you're a mage character, I would guaranteed 100% start with these 2 skills every time, no matter what preset or kind of mage you're going, because they're extremely, extremely useful. If you wanted, you could even get away with taking a point out of your constitution and buffing your end, but this is a very, very solid mage setup with good offense. The slow can also just be used defensively. Midnight Oil slows the oil, like, slow people down, but this is a really, really solid wizard offensive set. So that's good. Of course, you can change your name and everything. Do whatever you want, just use something silly. The fighter's pretty solid. Now you always want to start with a heal, whether it's the mage, which is Hydro Fist, water magic, can get minor heal at the start, or fighters can get a heal as well, but if you notice, we don't have a heal skill at the start. The knight preset does, but I don't want that preset, I want the warrior preset. So, I mean the fighter preset. So we'll go over here. Warriors in the beginning kind of struggle to be effective. You have a mage, they're going to be doing honestly majority of the heavy lifting. Fighters don't really start becoming pretty awesome until maybe level 4 or 5, and then maybe level 6 or 7. They start getting pretty scary and start being able to dish out huge amounts of damage, do really cool skills. In the beginning, they're more just sort of there, but we don't need a harder time hitting things, which is what that particular skill does. What we can do is modify our starting skills, which is based on your skills over here, like Man-at-Arms lets me choose a total of 3 out of these skills. Already have Battering Ram, already have Dust Devil, those are great. Let's grab Cure Wounds, it's a great burst heal skill. Long cooldown, but really handy. Once per fight is about all you need until you pick up other healing. And of course you have Healing Potions. So that's, let's customize this guy's talents. My Precious, pretty unuseful. Opportunist is decent. I might use something like Leech, lets you heal in your own blood, and every time you get hit by anything, you actually bleed, so every time you take a hit, you also get healed for a portion. Pretty great way to help stay alive. You could also take something like Lone Wolf for a fighter is really good. A lot of these other skills you'd want to take later once your skills are higher, like Thick Skin or Morning Person and stuff like that. Bully is decent. Anaconda if you really like bash weapons. For example, you'd never take Far Out Man on a fighter He doesn't use spells. He doesn't use scrolls. It's very specific to mages, so you want to be careful about that. We don't have anyone in our party who specifically uses perception, which is a ranger skill, really, or stat specifically. So something even like Light Stepper, which gives you +2 perception bonus for traps and secrets, is a pretty good skill to have. Pet Pal's decent. There's different things, but and almost in every case, just go through, read the tooltips. It tells you everything about all your abilities, your attributes, your skills, your abilities, your talents. Everything's here if you just take the time to read it. But this is a very, very strong combo to start the game off with. A pure fighter, pure mage. You really can't go wrong with this. It's great offense and strong defense once you get going. So that's about it, but feel free to play around with your presets. Just make sure you click the customize buttons. Remember, there's a second customize button. And, I probably wouldn't mess around with their attributes too heavily. I guess you can only go down to 5 as a minimum, but you wouldn't really, want to, take down all your skills this much. Because all these, ultimately, almost every stat's useful for everyone, except for maybe int isn't useful for anyone who doesn't have magic. But everything else is useful to people in some way, so it's decent keeping it. But I'll do a separate video on attributes, maybe next. But that's it. You're ready to start your adventure into Divinity, so you can go ahead and go away, do whatever you want in this game, and that's the fun of it, and half the fun is exploring and discovering. But I've happened to put 90, 100 hours into the beta, so I already really know what I'm doing. But just make sure to do a little tweaking, explore your character customization. You'll start off with a much more effective character, and you'll be way happier. So enjoy, and feel free to ask any questions in the comments. I'll answer back to you, and subscribe for more videos.